students, this is the second part of the video. In first part we have discussed the aim of the experiment and then about the theory. Now in this video we will discuss with you rest of the steps. So students, the material required for this experiment are: we need 6 test tubes, test tube stand, 6 droppers, watch glass, filter paper, dilute sodium hydroxide, dilute sodium hydrochloric acid, dilute sodium hydroxide, dilute acetic acid, distilled water, lemon juice and dilute sodium bicarbonate solution. So now we will take 1 or 2 ml of these solutions with the help of dropper in separate test tubes. Now with the help of dropper you can name them, the test tubes in which you have given the solution, as test tube number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So test tube number 1 is for hydrochloric acid, test tube number 2 for sodium hydroxide, test tube number 3 for acetic acid, test tube number 4 for distilled water, test tube number 5 for lemon juice, and test tube number 6 for sodium bicarbonate. Now take out the pH paper and then dip it in the first test tube, and first test tube is related with dilute hydrochloric acid. When you will dip this in that test tube, it will change the color, then match its color with the pH color chart, and then you will decide its pH value. Similarly, do the same thing with different pH papers from different test tubes and find out the pH values of all the given solutions. So in this way you will find out the pH value of all the given solutions. So students, now you have find out the pH values. Now in your practical record, make an observation table. In observation table, the first column is serial number, second column is name of the solution, the third column is the color which you have observed on the pH paper, and the fourth one is pH value. Now how will you write? Suppose serial number 1, name of the solution dilute hydrochloric acid, color which you have find on the pH paper is red, and now its pH value is 1. In this way you will write down all the pH values in your observation table. So once you have written all the observations in your observation table, then go through the next step, that is result. Students, in result you have to write down the pH values of all the solutions which you have taken. So in result again you are going to write down 6 steps. Step number 1, the pH value of dilute hydrochloric acid is 1. Now the pH, step number 2, the pH value of dilute sodium hydroxide is 13 or 14. Likewise, in this way you will write down the result. So before going to the next step, students, for your convenience, I am going to tell you the pH values which you may get in the lab. So the pH value of dilute hydrochloric acid which you can get the lab is 1 or 2 depending upon its dilution. Second, similarly for sodium hydroxide it is 13 or 14. Then for acetic acid it is 4. Then for distilled water it is 7. And for lemon juice you can write is 3. And then for sodium bicarbonate you can write it as 11 or 12. Right? Similarly, you can write the color also. For hydrochloric acid, you can write as red. Then for sodium hydroxide, it is blue. Then for acetic acid, it is light pink. And distilled water, you can write it as green. And lemon juice, it is also light pink. And then for dilute sodium bicarbonate, it is also light blue. All these things you will, when you will perform in the experiment, when you will perform it in the lab, you will very easily observe it, and there you can observe this by your own also. But for your convenience, I have given you these observations. Students, the next step which we are going, that is precaution. So for precaution, first of all, you should take clean test tubes. You should take clean dropper. You have to use separate droppers for separate solutions. Students, never touch any solution when you are in the lab, and never taste the solution. It may be injurious for you. So students, I have explained you all the steps, and I think you know it very well. So when you will be in the lab, you will practically do this by your own, and you will find your observations by yourself. I am going to provide you the PDF of this chapter also, so that you can go through the whole chapter and you can write it in your practical record. Besides this, I am going to provide you the Viva Was questions. Since you have lot of time this time, so utilize this time, study all the Viva Was questions. That is important and it is good for you. Okay, so stay at your home, keep yourself safe, your family safe, and do your studies a lot. Now thanks for this. We will meet you in next of the experiment.